Deep in the remote mountains, shrouded in mist and forgotten by time, lie the ruins of the Sunken Face Temple. It wasn't a place of worship, but a place of judgment. The monks who resided here had a unique, chilling method for punishing sinners. They didn't use whips or chains. Instead, they used iron, heavy, cold, unforgiving iron, forged into masks. Each mask was custom-made, a grotesque caricature reflecting the sinner's specific transgression. A liar's mask might have a long, twisted snout. A gossip's, a mouth permanently pried open. These weren't meant to be worn and removed. They were sealed shut, becoming a permanent, suffocating tomb for the face and a living coffin for the soul. The victim, once sealed, was cast out. They became a sunken face, a walking pariah, their identity erased, their voice muffled into a metallic groan. They were forced to wander the desolate landscapes surrounding the temple, a living warning to all who might stray from the path of righteousness. The psychological torment was said to be far worse than any physical pain. Trapped in darkness, unable to eat properly, drink, or speak clearly, their own breath echoing back at them, hot and stale. Many went mad long before their bodies gave out. The temple itself eventually fell into ruin, its cruel practices fading into the stuff of local ghost stories, a tale to frighten children into behaving. For centuries, the ruins lay silent, reclaimed by nature. The scattered, rusted masks that dotted the landscape were little more than curiosities for the few brave souls who ventured near. They were silent relics of a brutal past. But last week, a storm of unprecedented fury descended upon the mountains. The sky ripped open, and a bolt of lightning, a jagged spear of pure energy, struck the very heart of the temple's main altar. The ground shook, and an ancient gnarled tree, which had grown through the altar stone, was split in two. Locals reported a sound that wasn't thunder, a sound that chilled them to the bone. A long, drawn-out metallic shriek that seemed to echo from the ruins themselves. The next morning, a shepherd boy, searching for a lost lamb, cautiously approached the temple. The air was thick with the smell of ozone and damp earth. As he neared the shattered altar, he saw it. Half buried in the mud and debris was one of the iron masks. It was different from the others. The rust seemed to have been burned away in places, revealing gleaming, polished iron beneath. But that wasn't what made the boy freeze in terror. From within the sealed helmet, from the slits where a mouth should be, a sound was emanating. It was a low, guttural, and continuous scream. A muffled, agonized cry that had been silent for centuries, now reawakened by the storm's raw power. News travels fast in small communities. Soon, a small group of us, a local historian, a paranormal investigator, and myself, made the trek up the mountain. The atmosphere was heavy, not just with humidity, but with a palpable sense of dread. And as we got closer, we heard it too. The scream. It wasn't loud, but it was pervasive, burrowing into your skull. It was a sound of pure, undiluted agony. The historian, a man named Alistair, explained that this particular mask was known in legend as the Mask of Eternal Echoes. It was supposedly reserved for the most heinous of sinners, someone whose crime was so terrible that the monks condemned their very soul to scream for eternity. The legend claimed the mask was designed to absorb and endlessly replay the wearer's final moments of terror and pain, a spiritual feedback loop trapped within the iron. We set up our equipment, cameras, and audio recorders, determined to document this phenomenon. The mask itself was horrifying to look at. It was vaguely humanoid but distorted. The eye slits slanted downwards in an expression of perpetual sorrow. The mouthguard bent and dented from the inside, as if whatever was trapped had spent centuries trying to claw its way out. The screaming never stopped. It would rise and fall in pitch, sometimes sounding like a man, sometimes a woman, sometimes something not human at all. Our audio equipment picked up frequencies that were beyond the range of human hearing. When we analyzed the recordings later, we found that layered within the primary scream were other sounds, faint whispers, the sound of weeping, and a single repeated word that we couldn't quite decipher. It sounded like a name or a plea. The paranormal investigator, a woman named Lena, used a thermal camera. To our astonishment, the mask registered a faint heat signature, slightly warmer than the surrounding cold mud, despite being made of solid iron and having been buried for ages. It was as if something inside was generating a low level of energy. As night fell, the phenomenon intensified. The screams became clearer, more desperate. We could now distinctly hear words forming amidst the wails, words of regret. "I'm sorry," it cried. "Forgive me." The pleas were interspersed with moments of pure, incoherent rage, the muffled voice roaring and banging against its metal prison. Alistair, the historian, found an old text that described the mask's final victim. A man who betrayed the temple, leading bandits to its hidden treasury. His punishment was to be sealed and left on the altar, his screams meant to serve as the temple's eternal guardian. The lightning, it seems, didn't just strike the mask, it supercharged it, rebooting the curse with terrifying new energy. We tried to communicate with it, asking questions, but the entity, if that's what it was, seemed trapped in its own personal, repeating nightmare, oblivious to us. It was reliving its betrayal, its capture, and the horrific moment the molten lead was poured to seal the mask shut forever. The sheer despair in that voice was something I will never forget. It was the sound of a soul that knows no peace, no escape, only an endless loop of its worst moment. Is it a ghost, a psychic imprint, or some forgotten arcane technology of the monks? We don't have the answers. We only know that on a remote mountain, in the ruins of a forgotten temple, a piece of iron continues to scream. We left the mountain as the sun rose, the screams still echoing behind us. We left the mask where we found it, half buried by the ancient altar. What else could we do? To move it felt like a desecration, and who would dare try to open it? The legend of the Sunken Face Temple is no longer just a story. It's a living, breathing, and screaming reality. And it serves as a chilling reminder that some punishments don't end with death, and some sins leave an echo that can last for an eternity. Thank you for joining me on this unsettling journey. What do you think is causing the mask to scream? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoy exploring the world's darkest legends, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next investigation. Stay curious and stay safe.